Thank you.
Welcome to beautiful Utah, although this doesn't do it justice, but it's what we've got. Thank you for being here. I want to talk about a couple of things. First of all, I heard the news about Senator McConnell. He has had an amazing career. We obviously thank him for his leadership and his service, but I applaud him for realizing that it is time for new generational change. I think what's more important is we need to understand we don't just need new generational change in Congress, we also need new generational change in the White House, and I think that's really important. But it also goes to where are we going in this party? So many of you keep asking me, why are you doing this? I'm telling you, I just need you to listen. So the reason this is so important is it's a primary. And in a primary, you're deciding which direction is the Republican Party going to go? Which direction is the country going to go? So what you're looking at with this change, and we're also seeing it as McConnell goes to the other side, is we now have a Republican Party that is shifting. The Republican Party now doesn't say anything about fiscal discipline. The Republican Party started under Donald Trump, where they spent $8 trillion in debt in just 4 years, more than any other president. But it set the tone, because what happened? Republicans went and opened up earmarks and pet projects for the first time in 10 years. In the 2024 appropriations budget, you can't ignore Republicans spent $7.4 billion on earmarks, and Democrats spent $2.8 billion. At no point is Donald Trump talking about shrinking government. It expanded under his watch. At no point is he talking about shrinking our agencies. They expanded under his watch. At no point is he talking about wasteful spending. They've continued to do more. And we're also seeing a shift in the Republican Party on national security. We used to be peace through strength. We used to believe in our alliances. We used to understand that America could never be so arrogant to think we don't need friends. And now you're watching a Republican Party that's going more towards isolationism, thinking that we'll just stay in our own bubble. But the Republican Party I believe in believes you're better together with an alliance. The Republican Party I believe in believes that when you go out and you become in your bubble, that you put yourselves more at war, not less. And then we have to talk about the Republican Party itself, the RNC. So if Donald Trump's going to take over the RNC, then what does that mean? Now, Laura Trump said RNC is now just about Donald Trump. So I assume that means that the Republican Party is shifting, that before it's supposed to support races up and down the ticket, now it's just about supporting Donald Trump. And what's going to happen when that happens? Does it become his legal slush fund? Are you going to ask the question about what happens with that resolution that says you can't spend it on legal fees? He's very upset about that resolution. But what I would tell you is all Americans, and Republicans especially, deserve a vote on the record on that resolution. We deserve to know how the RNC is going to spend their money and if it's going to go towards legal fees. So the Republican Party that I am seeing happen is one that isn't focused on fiscal discipline, is one that isn't focused on national security, and is one that's becoming more about one man instead of about a party. And what we've seen is, what is this direction doing? You see where it got us in Michigan. We lost the governor's mansion, we lost the House, we lost the Senate. You see what happened in Minnesota? Same thing. You see it in Colorado. No Republicans gotten above 45%. The Republicans have reduced by 10% there. This is now becoming a party that's pushing people out of our party, as opposed to the Republican Party I believe in, where you bring more people in. So this primary has always been about what direction is the Republican Party going and what direction is America going. But also to make it more about the fact that it's become about one man. Look at the border bill that happened. There were things that were strong about it, there were things that were weak about it. What should have happened was Congress should have gotten in a room and figured it out. But that didn't happen because Donald Trump said don't do it until after the general election. Now how are you going to say that to that girl's parents who just died at University of Georgia. She's not the first. She won't be the last. We can't wait one day to get a strong border. But are we going to keep doing this because of one man? That's what this comes down to. This is not about me. This is about my kids. This is about everybody's kids. Are we going to have a country that goes back to where we care about the debt, we care about what our kids are reading, where we care about securing the border, where we care about preventing war? Or are we going to go in a direction where I said yesterday, this is a ship with a hole in it. We can ignore the hole, and Republicans will go down with the ship. Or we can change and go in a new direction and say this is the way forward. That is the focus that I have. That's what I'm trying to get everybody to see, is this is the difference between two Republican parties. And I think based on that, this is going to be the difference in where the Republican Party goes in America.
Governor Haley, do you talk about providing an alternative for Republicans? You have leadership slates in states like Georgia, for example. Does that mean you'll commit to staying in through those states so those voters have the alternatives?
I don't want to talk about how long y'all think I'm going to stay in. This is
But
about
voters don't know that.
No, but you know what I want people to know is I want the conversation to be, where are we going in the country? I mean, are we going to be a country where we can't sit down and have dinner without a political fight? Are we going to be a country where we can't go to our jobs and say what we think because we're worried we're going to be demoted? Are we going to be a country that's going to continue to be with this anger and hatred or division? Because our kids deserve to know what normal feels like. And none of that is normal. And so what I'm saying is, this conversation, remember, it's a primary. This conversation is about what direction is the Republican Party going to go. In all of these early races, 30 to 40% of the people are saying we don't want to go the way it's going now. You can't ignore them. So what are we going to do about it? And what I'm saying to Republicans is what I've said to the party for years. We should be a party of addition. Bring people into the fold. Stop pushing people out of the party.
Governor, do you think that with voters going here on March 5th, here in the state of Utah, the Republican caucus is coming up, there's a sentiment growing that right now they don't want to vote for Trump, but they feel as though that he's the only choice. What would you say to Republican voters here in the state of Utah that are going to caucus on March 5th?
I would tell the people in Utah that, first of all, in a general election, you're given a choice. In a caucus, you make your choice. This is the chance to not only make their choice, but to tell the country who they are and what they believe in. And do they want more of the same, or do they want to go in a new direction? Do we want a country that goes back to where it's about faith and family and country? And agreeing to strongly disagree but not hate each other? And do we want to go back to a country that's focused on fiscal discipline and not have our kids have to pay those debts? Do we want to go back to a country that focuses on national security and doesn't have these wars around us? Do we want to go back to a country where it's not about one man or one party, it's about America? That's the choice we have. And so what I'll say is, to do that, it takes a lot of courage. But when you show courage, that's when you actually shift the tide of where our country's going.
Do you agree with McConnell, who said that Trump is morally and practically responsible for January 6th?
I'll let McConnell deal with January 6th.
What's your assessment of that?
I've said very clearly that I think January 6th was a terrible day. I don't agree with Donald Trump, who thinks it was a beautiful day. I hope it never happens again.
And
I
Trump's
think we have to
responsible for that?
Well, I think you have to go, that'll be played out in court. That's not for me to decide. I think a lot of people went to that rally wanting to support America, wanting to support Trump. But I think the fact that he waited so long and didn't do anything wasn't just me. It was Fox News hosts. It was everybody else calling him saying, what are you doing? Get out there. Stop it. He didn't. He's got to answer for that. That's not for me to answer.
So any reaction to Hunter Biden testifying on Capitol Hill today?
I haven't paid any attention to that. I mean, I think that, first of all, the only thing I'll say about that is we've got to start holding people accountable. It shouldn't just be the Bidens, it should be the Clintons, it should be the Obamas, it should be Trump, it should be everybody fairly. And that's what we need to see. There are some serious issues about how much money he made, how he made it, and whether it was based on influence from Joe Biden. That needs to be answered. And I think because the DOJ wasn't getting answers, I think it's right that Congress had to ask us.
If it comes to it, would you be willing to run with President Trump and work with him, since you have before? Or is that a no-go on your
I
half.
think I've made it pretty clear I'm not looking for any sort of position or anything with that. I am looking to save our country. I truly think we have a country to save. I truly think this is about the fact that we can decide whether it's going to be the RNC, you know, moving in a direction of that's all Trump, or it could be the RNC moving in a direction where we are adding to our tent and we're trying to win races up and down the border.
Thank you, Governor Haley. Just want to get your insight. Why do you feel that top Utah lawmakers, like a Mitt Romney, for example, who doesn't support Trump, has yet to give you an endorsement, and would you welcome that?
I don't ask for those endorsements. If you notice, I haven't gone and tried to rally up as many political endorsements as I can, because I think that's part of the problem. I actually think it's the political class that's not listening to Americans. I mean, you can look at, you know, all of these people who are supporting me. They don't trust what's happening in DC anymore. They don't trust either side anymore. All they feel is the division, the lack of results, and that nothing's getting done. What I want is the support from the American people. I am frustrated by Republicans and Democrats who are spending like drunken sailors. I am frustrated with Republicans and Democrats who refuse to secure our border and do what it takes to get it done. I'm frustrated by Republicans and Democrats who don't see the national security threats facing us and don't realize that they have to be honest with the American people, that this is not a choice between Ukraine and Israel and the border. It's actually the fact that we can do both, and their responsibility is to make sure that they prevent war and keep Americans safe. That's the focus. And what I will give you and challenge you is tomorrow I know that Biden and Trump are going to be at the border. I've been at the border a year ago. What I would say is, are you going to ask Joe Biden why he let it get to this point? And I would also say, are you going to ask Donald Trump why he stopped Congress from passing a strong border bill and why he didn't get that done? They're both going to be there for photo ops. But what did they do to help this situation? Because when each of them was given the opportunity to make this right, both of them walked away from it. Those are the hard, real questions we need to ask. Look, I know I take hard questions from you all the time. That's my job. I'm supposed to. You put yourself out there. But why aren't we asking the questions about what's happening at the RNC? Why aren't we asking questions about the fact that they're going to both be at the border and no one did anything? Why aren't we asking the hard questions about what happened to any sort of conversation about fiscal discipline? Why aren't we asking the questions about what anybody's going to do about the national security issue, NATO, and where we're going to go from that? These are the things real Americans want to talk about. Go to that rally. Ask them what they care about. They will tell you their kids are worried about whether they can afford a home. They will tell you they're worried about what's happening at the border. They will tell you about the fact that the economy and the debt is weighing on them like never before. We need to be asking the questions like that to all candidates. I'll keep answering them for you. All I ask is that you challenge them to do that. We are excited about Super Tuesday. We are looking forward to it. Yesterday we were in Minnesota, in Colorado midday, Utah today. I don't know where I'm going to be tomorrow, but we are fast and furious, making sure we talk to everybody, because how blessed are we to live in a country where we don't anoint kings, where we do have conversations within our party about the direction we go, where we do allow states to vote regardless of what the political pundits think. We're blessed there. So I am enjoying the ride. I'm going to keep on fighting. We're going to keep on letting people's voices be heard, and I hope that you'll keep asking the tough questions. Thank you very much.
Governor.